What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Come On, Honey. It's time to analyze another 70 piece. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we are going to be talking about the 73 points that Luka Doncic scored on Friday night, just mere days after Joel Embiid had his own 70 piece. This was I'm fairly certain the most efficient 70-point performance in the history of the NBA with a true shooting percentage just above 90%. Of course, finished with 75% shooting from the field overall. Also added 10 or 11 rebounds and 7 assists. Weirdly enough, much like Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker had 62 in a loss to the Indiana Pacers. So a weird reflection of, I think it was, what was it, like Monday or Sunday or Monday night. But I watched this game back. I caught bits and pieces of it throughout on League Pass. There's really not much for me to say, and I know that I say that there's not much for me to say, and this is going to turn into like a 25 or 30-minute long video, but the way that Luka was getting these buckets, there was nothing that Atlanta could have done to slow him down. In the beginning of the game, you'll notice a lot of single coverage. Looking back on it, maybe Quinn Snyder could have doubled him a little bit more intensely, but I don't know how much of an effect that would have had on Luka because towards the end, I want to say it was Jalen Johnson who had the task of guarding this man. There were a couple instances when he played pretty solid defense, and Luka is just launching this shit and hitting nothing but net. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So here we have it. Single coverage. Clint Capella, you're leaving Johnson on an island here. If this was their pick and roll coverage from the beginning, like this was Quinn Snyder's game plan, this man needs to be analyzed. He needs a psychoanalyzation. Why are you letting Jalen Johnson live on an island with Luka Doncic? This is too easy. He just walks his way into the paint. Luka is averaging 35 points a night. You either need to let him go one-on-one, which that was clearly what Atlanta was doing here, or double him as quickly as possible. In any other instance, I believe that Capella needs to blitz Doncic, especially with Kyrie Irving out. There is two ways to defend him throughout this game. You can either let him piece you apart 1v1 because not one person can't beat you, or you let everybody else beat you. We saw this style of defense a lot when LeBron James was younger towards the end of his first stint in Cleveland and when he was with Miami. You can either let him do everything by himself or let everybody else beat you. Of course, the caveat being with that, you had Dwayne Wade to worry about. You had Kyrie Irving to worry about. There was nobody outside of Tim Hardaway Jr. that Atlanta has to worry about here. Another thing is that Atlanta's defense is not particularly good, but if you just look at the box score, the second highest score was Josh Green, who's not even the second best player on the team. Tim Hardaway shot 3 of 12. So all things considered, I think that this was just a fucking atrocious defensive performance from Atlanta, but I'm starting to yap here. Luka Doncic in the corner comes up like this is a horrible effort. Jalen Johnson gets screened, doesn't even really fight over it. I'm guessing there was no communication, which is odd considering DeJounte Murray is an above average defender. And then Luka could have taken this three, and his three-point shooting is up this year. I believe he was 8 of 13 in this game as well. But instead, what does he do? He drives because he knows he's more efficient getting it to the paint, and it's a simple fadeaway off the glass. You cannot give elite scorers these types of looks. This is good ball handling here, but yet again, Luka just gets whatever he wants. There is no second effort made by Clint Capella. He's playing drop the whole time. Like, he flashes to the center, but by that point, I mean, Luka already has a clean look at the basket. There's nobody in front of him. He's got Jalen Johnson on his hip. He could settle for whatever shot he wants, whether it be a floater, driving and trying to get 2 free throws. But listen, there's nothing that Jalen Johnson can do in this circumstance. I'm sorry. So now there is a new defensive look. We have Sadiq Bey, brings a little bit more size to the equation, a little bit more strength to the equation. Ultimately, does not matter because Luka is just too good. And there is really no separation that he creates on this shot. Saddiq Bey fights over the screen, recovers, is within arm's length of him. I mean, this is like not bad effort by Saddiq Bey. This is about as well as you could defend this, but really, this is all the space that a good shooter needs. Like on this step back, if your arms aren't up, which they are not for Saddiq Bey, Luka has a clean look at the basket. When you're defending a good shooter, it doesn't matter if you contest as they're in their motion. The contest has to begin before that. Because if they even look at the basket, it's wraps. Whether it's Kyle Korver, whether it's Klay Thompson, whether it's Steph Curry, whether it's Jalen Brunson, whether it's any elite three-point shooter, once they get a clean look, it's a wrap. And we saw this on full display from Luka. I mean, the guy shot 75% from the field in a professional basketball game as a 6'7" wing player. The most efficient 70 piece in the history of the NBA. There's really not much that Atlanta could have done differently, I feel like. I mean, the only thing, if you want to get really into it, the only way they were stopping this is if they had a better defensive scheme as a whole and if they had better personnel, but they don't have that. Onyeka Okongwu is like, he looks helpless. Luka is moving at 0.5 speed, and Okongwu is still not able to pinpoint where he's going. So Luka is going to go right, back left, right, and he's just swaying back and forth. And the reason that this is so difficult to guard is look at his eyes. Watch Luka's eyes. He is up. He's looking up the entire time. There's no way to get a read on, like, this is elite offensive basketball. We've been seeing this from Luka for the last 6 years. Obviously, this is nothing new, but when you're playing defense, a huge piece of it is being able to read your player, is being able to read your man's eyes, read their hips, just try to get any telegraph on where they're going. But elite offensive players don't do that. This was a masterclass. This is a masterclass in perimeter scoring from Luka Doncic. And then just to be able to get a step on Okongwu, he utilizes his body so well. He's got such great body control. He's got such great awareness. I said the same thing about Joel Embiid. He's just so agile. He's so deft. He's so graceful on the perimeter. But the difference is that Joel Embiid is 7 foot 260. And Luka, despite being smaller and a perimeter player, he is not that athletic. But that doesn't matter if you know how to utilize your body in space. Okay, so Luka Doncic playing off the ball here. Sets a screen, gets it back. Saddiq Bey, that is a late recovery. That's too easy. Look at this. Nothing. Just Luka just gets to his spot. It's an easy 1-2. Once again, on the perimeter, Jalen Johnson literally cannot do anything. This is, oh my God, this poor kid. Like, so Luka starts going left to his weak hand. Okay? Now crosses over, gets the step, crosses in front of Jalen Johnson, puts his body between Johnson and the ball. That is how he's able to create the space despite being not that athletic. Also, keep in mind, he's attacking Johnson's lead foot. Whenever you're trying to beat somebody off the dribble, you attack their lead foot and you stay low. And he sets this up by selling the drive to the right. And then, boom, great footwork. Could have taken the shot, but there was no help. Like, someone needs to help. So Okongwu needs to come off of Grant Williams here. I don't know, man. This is just very poor defensive awareness. Quinn Snyder is like, if you leave your man, I'm going to leave you on the side of the highway. That's what it seems like, the kind of defense that Atlanta is playing here. This is an MVP candidate who's getting a wide open look at the basket. Doncic on Johnson, and they're playing one-on-one. This is too much. This is too much space. At no point is anyone trying to force the ball out of Luka's hands. Johnson gets screened. Okongwu does not hedge. He's playing drop coverage, which is also super odd considering how efficient Luka has been from the 3-point line this year. Generally, you try to run shooters off of the 3-point line because the analytics obviously say that more twos at a higher percentage is better than more threes at 40% or whatever the analytics say. But no, they don't do that. And this is just look at this the space he creates on this step back. It is perfect. Like balanced, super balanced, is able to push off of his left foot, switches his hips. Like it's perfect footwork. It's spectacular. Okay, getting a little fancy with the dribble here. This possession looked like it might have gone a little bit awry. Luka, yeah, I mean, he's so brilliant at reading the floor and getting his move. I mean, obviously, like he's a professional basketball player. Like you would expect that of him. But like when you see it real time, it doesn't matter who it is. It's like, wow, this guy is taking what he wants whenever he wants it. All right, so Mavs running in transition. There is an option right here. There's an option right here. Luka is looking to his left the whole time, largely because if I had to guess, he sees that Okongwu is facing his right. And then, okay, so Jalen Johnson is unable to get in front of Luka here for obvious reasons. He was trailing on the play. Notice Luka is dribbling out in front of him. By the way, very crucial for any ball handler trying to not get trapped in double teams. Again, there needs to be some sort of blitz here. Stop the ball carrier. Stop the ball handler. Make the offense reset. None of that. Okongwu gets like kind of stuck on a body here. Could have been an illegal screen, but whatever. Still, but Okongwu does not have to be in this position if someone stops the ball. Like, force something. You guys are already in shit coverage in transition. Try to make a play. It's too easy, man. I don't want to shit all over the Hawks because Luka is making it look easier than it is, but these are just breakdowns. Little breakdowns that should be ironed out. But obviously, again, the Hawks not being a premier defense, not having the reputation of being a premier defense, this is the kind of stuff that they allow. But when you allow this to a player like Luka Doncic, you get 40 dropped on you, you get 50 dropped on you. This is just great shot making. So Saddiq Bey is applying good pressure here, is funneling Luka towards the sideline, who is acting. The sideline in this instance is acting like a third defender between Okongwu and Saddiq Bey. So I like that. He's funneling it. Luka tries to get back to the middle, is unable to, is forced into a spin. And then this screen breaks down. Saddiq Bey is still able to be relatively close to Luka. Okongwu is still a little bit too far back for my liking. Although, yeah, honestly, if I'm Quinn Snyder in this case, I'm probably going to my team and I'm like, I don't want Luka to get another fucking shot attempt for the rest of this game. If we lose, I want Tim Hardaway Jr. to beat us. I want Josh Green to beat us. I'm not trying to allow Luka Doncic, who does not have Kyrie Irving, to beat me. It should not have evolved like this. Okay, so this is good defense. This is great defense by Saddiq Bey. This is a very low percentage shot for 98% of basketball players. He doesn't bite on the pump fake. I mean, it's a great contest, but at this point, Luka Doncic is already in a rhythm. He's got like 28 points by this. He's got 28 points already. He's feeling himself. He's going to make every shot from here on out. Notice that all of these plays result in a basket, but they didn't have to. Like that's the thing, and they're happening early. At least this one happens early on in the shot clock. You could have forced Dallas. You could have forced Luka to kick this out to somebody else, and you take your chances playing 4-on-3 with these four dudes. None of whom are Kyrie Irving, by the way. This this is Eastern European on Eastern European crime. Bogdan Bogdanovic gets caught guarding Luka, and Luka does this move a lot, by the way. I don't even know what to classify it. He like dribbles, but he's already decided that he's going to shoot when he does this. He's going to his right. His left foot is in place, so that way he can get his defender to lean to their left, and then he pulls the ball back. He pulls the ball back into his shooting pocket, and that's why he's able to get off such a clean look. So you have the plant coming up. Plant's right here. And it's not even a big lean by Bogdanovich, but it's enough for any elite offensive player to take advantage of. This is like when the old dude shows up to LA Fitness and cooks the entire squad in the slowest way possible. I think this might be the slowest through the legs I've ever seen. But he shakes Jalen Johnson, who's getting ready to go over this screen. Luka goes back to his left because this is open. Trae Young's coming up to hedge. I think this is Clint Capella who's getting ready to do the double hedge. No one recognizes the fact that this might be a screen rejection. So what does Luka do? He rejects the screen, and it's just an uncontested layup. Rejects the screen. That's when you reject the screen. When there's nobody on the backside. DeJounte Murray is pinned in the corner. And then if he helps off of THJ, he's giving up an open shot. But I think at this point, you take that. Tim Hardaway Jr. did not have a good game this game. You take those chances. You play the percentages. I know that, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a respected guy in the league, but if he's not performing well in this game, help off of him. I think this is when the Hawks knew that it was a wrap for them. This is somehow not a turnover. Luka splits this double team. Not a great double team, by the way. When you double, you're supposed to lock feet with the man that you're trapping. However, Capella, I think must have came over late or something. I don't have the full clip on NBA.com. But Luka splits this. He picks up his dribble, though, and he's a little off balance. Grant Williams hangs out in the corner, and then Capella, listen, it's an okay contest, but you have to be on this man. It's an okay contest for a non-superstar, but you have to be on Luka when they're having these kinds of games. Obviously, a lot easier said than done. Atlanta, 23 minutes into the game, decides that they're going to start switching screens now. Okay? Saddiq Bey passes Luka off to Clint Capella. And Capella, I'm sorry, you're low. Your hips are low. You're trying to help here, but you're not going to be able to guard Luka. There's a screen coming up. Luka rejects it, attacks Trae Young. Easy. There's no resistance. When he gets into the paint, his only resistance is a 6'1", 175-pound Trae Young. This is a bucket every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And then again, you can reject this screen because Capella is leaning. The through the leg, the change of direction always occurs before the defender gets to their spot. They are shifting. Capella is currently going to his left. You want to reject this screen before Capella gets to the spot. And then there's, again, no help on the back end. This is just easy. And there's no help at the rim either because your big is fucking 30, because your big is 30 feet away from the basket. This is just mean. So Luka could have attacked Capella here. He didn't. He pulls out the retreat dribble, lets Dallas get set, and then just steps back and cans a three anyway. This step back is so slow, but it's so mechanically perfect. He's always balanced. He's become such a improved three-point shooter because of things like this, understanding how to remain balanced. Luka was always a lethal step back shooter, at least he always seemed that way, but now he's shooting 30. He's shooting 40% from three, something like that. This is perfect. Step back, gets Capella to lean a little bit, and then he pulls it. That's all they need. That's all he needs is the defender to shift one way. So back being guarded by Saddiq Bey is just taking off the dribble here. This is a difficult shot. This is a very difficult shot. But when you're feeling it, there is no such thing. Saddiq Bey puts his body on him. Saddiq Bey is a big, strong, athletic wing. And Luka absorbs the contact, has the ball on his dominant side. 2 points. Bad screen defense here. Saddiq Bey Why are you going under the screen here? More importantly, why are you going under the screen and your help is not hedging? This is a recipe for disaster. This guy had 41 points and a half. 41? 37? 41? I don't know. This guy had, we'll say 41 even if it's wrong. I don't care. This guy had 41 points in the first half. He's still cooking. He's still cooking. You need to go over this screen. You need to already be trying to get over this screen. You should be on Doncic's hip, funneling him into Patty Mills. Because again, look at who the fuck is on the floor. This is Derek Lively. This is Tim Hardaway Jr., not even involved in the play. This is Josh Green. I want to say either Josh Green or Dwight Powell. I can't. I'm not so sure. I think it's Josh Green. And I don't even know who the fuck. I don't even. Who the fuck is this guy? Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jaden Hardy. My bad. This should not be a Luka Doncic uncontested three. Like, you've already lost. This is an L. You guys should have just started inbounding the ball at this point. He's gonna step into an open three, and like, it's water. It's touching no part of the rim. It's like, oh my gosh, that might have been the worst defensive possession yet, I feel like. Okay, so a little bit of a different look. This was a crazy shot. This was a high difficulty shot. And how does it become a high difficulty shot? Well, because, oh shit, you're blitzing Luka Doncic at the point of attack. You are making it difficult for him to get his shot off. Be damned if fucking Couch Lollipop Hair and Sadiq Bey are on this play. You can make things happen. Like, it just requires a little bit of effort. Okay? So Luka cannot do what he wants on the screen because he's getting blitzed. Where does he go from here? It naturally, you would reverse it the other way. You'd spin, you would kick it to the screener as they come up for the help, and then Dallas resets the offense, and then you've succeeded in cutting off the first point of attack as the defense. Okay? So Trae Young retreats and goes nowhere. He retreats, gives Doncic an open lane to the basket, but doesn't even attempt to guard anybody else. Like, at this point, you have to know as a player, if you're at the park, if you're Trae Young and you're at the Rico Hines runs or whatever, and you're feeling it, you should know that you only want you to be taking shots. This is where Luka Doncic is at right now. He's in the mindset of, this defense cannot stop me. I am beating them like they are the junior national team. I'm beating them like they're a junior varsity team. This is an open lane to the basket. And then Trae Young not moving out of the way. Well, he does get out of the way as Sadiq Bey, but if he doesn't move, he's setting a screen on his own man. But he's still guarding Luka. He's still attempting a soft double team. But, like, look at this. Look at all this space right here. You're not doing anything positive. If you're not going to do a hard double team, get the fuck out of the play and let your man guard, let Sadiq Bey guard one-on-one, and you take your chances there. They're lucky that Luka settles for a very difficult step back. But he makes it look easy, because right before he gets his shot off, what does he do? He gets square. He squares his feet relatively. But on this release, his shoulders are square, despite the fact that he's fading. But this all unfolds because the defense at the point of attack is so weak. I cannot get over Trae Young being lost. Like, he literally has no idea what the fuck's going on. And then he's just standing at the free throw line. I lied. This might be the worst defensive possession that we've watched so far. And this motherfucker is smiling on his way back. He's like, damn, I'm really cooking right now. Quinn Snyder making this adjustment 40 seconds into the fourth quarter of putting DeJounte Murray on Luka Doncic. If you guys have noticed, we've watched him make however many baskets at this point. Not once has DeJounte Murray been the primary defender. I don't have the numbers off top. I'll look at them after. We'll look at them after to see the matchup data. He's your best perimeter defender. At some point, you got to be like, I'm sticking DeJounte Murray on Luka Doncic because he's literally being wasted guarding Tim Hardaway Jr., who's shooting 3 for 12. What the fuck? Dude, I'm like, what am I looking at? So you have 3 Dallas Mavericks here, 2 Atlanta Hawks. Who is guarding Grant Williams? And why are they in Savannah? They're in Marietta. They might even be in fucking Myrtle Beach. There is nobody near this man. And this is why Luka beats Murray. Good screen. Horrible double team right here. Fellas, boys, girls. Again, double team. If you're trying to stop this guy, just make a fucking wall. Honestly. He's going to split this. He splits this double team. 2 steps, makes a shot, might have gotten fouled. I can't remember. He did get fouled. Yeah, it was an and one. Oh, they did count it. Okay. Onyeka Okongwu, are you supposed to be guarding Grant Williams? Is this Garrison Matthews? Are you supposed to be guarding Grant Williams? I would like somebody to raise their hand if they were supposed to be guarding Grant Williams. And also, who the fuck is calling out this screen on DeJounte Murray? Nobody, it looks like. Because he gets, dude, I talked about this when I did the Brooklyn Nets meltdown against the Miami Heat. Dennis Smith Jr. gets leveled on a screen. The only time an NBA player gets leveled on a screen is when there's no communication. Or if the screener is Steven Adams. That's it. If a guy at any point gets stuck on a screen, gets, a shoulder, if Grant Williams gets a shoulder in the chest, it's because DeJounte Murray has no idea he's there. There's no communication here. So they're lucky Luka didn't pull up for this 3 because I know he's making it. I just know. So he sees the double team coming. He can either split it with the dribble and have an open jumper at the free throw line, or he can do a gather, which is what he does here. And he gets lucky. If Garrison Matthews doesn't reach, I don't know where he's going with this. That's the only reason that this split, not the only reason, but Luka got bailed out here. And if you're not gonna double hard, don't reach, especially once you see him going to gather. And also, just don't reach on Luka Doncic's purity. You're not getting the rock. You're not taking that rock from him. So he gets the continuation. This was a good contest by Jalen Johnson, but at this point, he's at 65 points or whatever it is, 62. He meets him at the 3-point line. He makes Luka Doncic decide to do something. So he's like, I'm going to attack this guy. Fuck it. Jalen Johnson, I don't know if he was doing this consciously or if he was just feeling, or if he just wanted to play with a little more effort, because it is a close game. This is a very winnable game for Atlanta. They're down by 6 with 11 minutes left, and this guy's got 65 fucking points. He's like, fuck it. I'm going to run this guy off the 3-point line. Doesn't work, but he meets him at the point of attack. Luka gets a little bit more space. He creates a little bit more space with this arm, but definitely not an offensive foul. Now, if you notice something, a bunch of the step backs previously had been super slow, very drawn out. Would have been an easy contest for Jalen Johnson. But what does Luka do here? Quick step back. Ready? Boom. 1 foot. It's still on the slower side, don't get me wrong. But it's not about being fast. It's not about being quick. It's about the change in the dynamics of your game. This is why James Harden was so good at his peak, because he didn't have to go fast all the time. He could go fast. He could go slow. It's more about how quickly you can change direction as opposed to how quick you can move overall, which is something that Luka has perfected. A lot of these, guards out of Eastern Europe and just the slower, the less athletic guards in general, this is how they become successful, because they learn how to change speeds efficiently instead of just being fast all the time. Jalen Johnson, he's like, fuck it at this point. He's like, what else do I have to lose? I'm just going to press up on this guy, which I like. I like the intensity. I like trying to bring a different flavor, but also DeJounte Murray is guarding Dante Exum. Am I dumb or something? Can an Atlanta Hawks fan let me know if DeJounte Murray has somehow regressed to Damian Lillard levels of defense for him to be relegated into guarding Dante Exum who last year was not playing in the NBA, instead of currently guarding the fifth best player in the league who's approaching 70. Did I miss something? Someone fill me in. And this is, again, not to take away anything from Jalen Johnson. He's like, I'm going to force Luka to his left. It's his non-dominant hand. Fuck it. Stays with him on the dribble, forces him to put the ball on the deck. Unfortunately, Luka's just too big. He's too broad. And more importantly, he's too good of an offensive player. He's going to win these one-on-one matchups. At no point does anybody think to slide over. Bogdan Bogdanovic is shooting Tim Hardaway Jr., who for the 17th time today shot 3 of 12 in this game. I know you don't want to give up a 3 at this rate, but you're down 7. Dallas is going to score either way on this possession. Take your chances with Tim Hardaway Jr. Okongwu at no point also comes off to help at all. It's very obvious that someone needs to do something here. So, Okongwu, you got to come up and force DeJounte Murray to come down or force Garrison Matthews to come over. Like, you got to do something. You're letting Jalen Johnson be hung out to dry. He's getting fucking folded like a napkin in a fine dining restaurant, and you're chilling. You're chilling. Guarding fucking Grant Williams in the corner. Transition. I don't recall Dallas getting a lot of fast break points this game, which would kind of make sense considering Luka played 45 minutes, and I'm sure he's not trying to sprint any more than he needs to at this rate. So Dallas it's even. It's even. However, Luka, it's effectively a 2-on-1, even though there are 3 people for both teams in the backcourt or the front court, whatever. I guess it's the front court now. Trae Young decides to not do anything. He doesn't cover Tim Hardaway. He doesn't cover Luka. Again, at this rate, you gotta try to stop the ball. You gotta take the ball out of Luka's hands. You can't just let him get any shot he wants throughout the course of an NBA. It just doesn't make any sense. Stop the ball on the fast break. If Tim Hardaway Jr. beats you on a layup, you deal with it. Because Luka's been beating you on far more difficult shots all game long. And it's like, who knows, if you come up and you blitz Luka, maybe DeJounte Murray gets a back tap instead of running into Luka and giving him an and one. It's ridiculous that he made this shot, by the way. Beautiful split of the double team here. Oh, look at, once again, the matchup we should have had for the entirety of the second half. Okay, so how does Luka split this? There's a very little opening. You can't see it. There's a very little opening. So Luka splits this double team, crosses back to his right hand, and in order to avoid DeJounte Murray poking this ball away, he has to throw it in front of him, which you can't really see as well because Clint Capella is in the way. He has to keep it low and throw it in front of him and chase it. When you're splitting the double team, you have to chase the basketball. Do not throw the basketball straight down. Throw it at an angle. Catch up to it, because if the defender reaches in on you going to get the ball, it is more likely that it gets called for a reach in. And then he's got all this space to work with. Euros, steps. I can't even. Poor Jalen Johnson, bro. He's trying so hard. Now, why does Luka go to his right on this? Because he's attacking the lead foot. Jalen Johnson is off balance at this point. 1, 2, boom, easy. And one. Like, damn, he's so fucking good. Video not available. Second video in a row, the final shot is not available. According to the NBA's matchup data, DeJounte Murray spent just 3 minutes and 21 seconds on Luka Doncic. 1 shot attempt in 3 minutes. In 4 minutes of being guarded by Jalen Johnson, he got 11 shot attempts. In 5 minutes of being guarded by Saddiq Bey, he got 8 shot attempts. I understand that he didn't miss this shot attempt against DeJounte Murray. However, it was significantly fewer shot attempts because DeJounte Murray is an elite defender. Again, maybe I'm just misinterpreting it. Maybe I'm choosing to interpret this data the way that I would like to. The better defenders in the NBA may not stop a guy like Luka Doncic. They may not stop a guy like Jason Tatum or Devin Booker or Kevin Durant, but they're going to not have them get as many shots off, and those shot attempts are going to be more difficult. That was a fun one to watch, but if I'm an Atlanta Hawks fan, I I am really upset by the type of defense that they played. I saw Stephen A. I think it was Stephen A. He was talking about how it was an absolutely disgraceful performance. I don't want to say that it was disgraceful, but I think that their game plan was wrong, and the fact that there were no adjustments made throughout the game to reflect the better matchup of or the more advantageous matchup of Murray on Doncic, it doesn't make any sense to me. I think that Quinn Snyder fucked this up. And from everything I've seen online with the Jazz, that in-game adjustments were not really Quinn Snyder's thing. And I think it showed here. I of course don't want to focus this entirely on the Hawks' atrocious defense because at the end of the day, Luka Doncic scored 73 points on 25 makes, 33 shots overall. It was nothing short of a phenomenon. His talent, his array, his aptitude for creating shots and taking advantage of the defense, it was all on display in this one. And sometimes you just get shit on. This is what happened to the Spurs. This is what happened to the Pacers, even though they managed to win. This is what happened to the Hornets, even though they managed to beat the Timberwolves and Karl Towns. But if you notice, these types of games, at least only recently, have come against defenses that are not that great. In terms of defensive efficiency, the Hornets, who allowed 62 points to Karl Anthony Towns, are last. The Atlanta Hawks, who we just shot all over, are 27th. The Spurs are 25th. And the Indiana Pacers are 26th. Bad teams give up big scoring performances. At least that's how it's been of late. And I don't think I can emphasize this enough. I don't think DeJounte Murray would have prevented Luka Doncic from having a spectacular game, but I do think that he would have prevented him from getting 73. I'm thinking, maybe 35 or 40 if he's being guarded by Murray, because you're not going to be able to have Murray out there the entire time. You are going to switch up coverages every now and then, but I don't think Luka is getting 73 if DeJounte Murray is being guarded by him. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm with that. I'll catch all of you in the next one.